The Galactic Council Chamber floated at the heart of neutral space, a vast ring of light and metal surrounded by the stars. Representatives from dozens of worlds gathered there, each species believing its own power was essential to the balance of the galaxy. Voices overlapped in sharp tones and soft hums as translators struggled to keep pace. The topic of the session was routine expansion rights, yet the mood was restless. Many sensed that something unseen was moving beyond their charts. Humanity was mentioned only in passing. To most in the chamber, Earth was a young world from a quiet corner of space. Its people were known for stubborn survival and strange creativity, but they were not feared. Older empires had risen and fallen long before humans reached the stars. Compared to ancient fleets and vast armadas, Earth was considered small, divided, and untested on a true galactic scale. A low pulse of light rippled across the chamber, cutting through the noise. An alert signal spread along the ring, forcing silence. Sensor officers from several species projected shared data into the center of the council. A massive shadow appeared, outlined in pale blue light. At first, many thought it was a sensor error. The object was too large, too dense, and too sudden to make sense. The image sharpened. The object had emerged from folded space near a neutral system, far from any known shipyard or gate. Its size rivaled small moons. Its structure was blunt and angular, lacking the elegant curves favored by most advanced civilizations. Energy readings poured in, climbing past known limits. Shield strength alone exceeded the combined output of several battle fleets. Fear crept into the chamber. Some delegates whispered ancient prayers. Others demanded confirmation from their own instruments. The readings matched. The object was real. A calm signal followed the appearance. It carried no threat and no flourish. The transmission was short and direct. It identified the vessel as an Earth battleship and stated its presence was intentional. The word battleship echoed through the council. Many had believed humans relied on smaller vessels and defensive stations. This was something else entirely. Data archives were pulled open in haste, revealing fragments of human history. Wars fought with limited resources. Worlds rebuilt again and again. A species that adapted under pressure instead of breaking. While fear spread across the council, the view shifted far away to the interior of the massive ship itself. Inside, the battleship was quiet and controlled. There were no grand halls or decorative displays. The corridors were wide, reinforced, and marked with simple symbols. Everything served a clear purpose. Kang Jisoo stood on the command deck, hands resting lightly on the railing before the main display. He watched the stars drift slowly as the ship held position. His expression was calm, almost distant. Years of training and experience had taught him that fear wasted time. He listened as status reports flowed around him in steady voices. Park Do-yeon worked nearby, eyes fixed on engineering readouts. He spoke in a measured tone, confirming system stability and energy balance. The ship's core ran far below capacity, a quiet reminder that its true strength remained untouched. Every system responded with precise obedience, built to endure long engagements and heavy damage. Lee Hana stood at a tactical station, reviewing movement from distant alien fleets. Her fingers moved quickly, adjusting projections and probabilities. She noted that ships across the region were changing course, forming loose defensive lines. None advanced. None retreated fully. They waited, unsure of what action would trigger disaster. Choi Mira monitored weapons control, though no orders were given. Her screens showed complex arrays designed for accuracy rather than spectacle. Each system was built to disable, to end fights before they could spread. She knew the power at her command, and she respected it deeply. Kang Jisoo finally spoke, his voice steady and low. He asked for confirmation that the message had been received. Li Hana confirmed that every major power in the region had acknowledged the signal. Silence followed his words, heavy and deliberate. Beyond the ship, the galaxy reacted in confusion and dread. News traveled faster than official channels could contain it. Merchants rerouted. Patrol fleets pulled back. Old enemies paused their conflicts, choosing caution over pride. The appearance of the Earth battleship disrupted centuries of assumed order. In the council chamber, debates turned sharp. Some argued the ship was a bluff, a single showpiece meant to hide weakness. Others warned that no civilization would reveal such power unless it was prepared to use it. The lack of aggression unsettled them more than open threats would have. Historical records continued to surface. Analysts noted how humanity often endured long periods of struggle in silence, only revealing strength when cornered. Earth's early space age had been marked by restraint, cooperation, and careful observation. This battleship did not fit the image they had constructed. Back on the command deck, Kang Jisoo reviewed a simple timeline displayed before him. Earth had waited many years before this moment. The ship was not sent in anger or conquest. It was sent because the galaxy had grown careless, pressing closer to human space, testing borders without respect. Park Do-yeon reported that long-range sensors detected no direct targeting from alien fleets. Li Hana added that diplomatic channels were flooded with requests for clarification. Kang Jisoo acknowledged the information without change in expression. He knew that uncertainty was part of the message. The battleship remained still, a silent wall of steel and energy against the stars. Its presence alone forced the galaxy to reconsider old assumptions. Humanity was no longer a distant idea or a minor power. It stood here, visible and undeniable. As the council chamber fell into uneasy quiet, many realized the same truth. Earth had not come to ask for a place among the great powers. It had arrived to remind the galaxy that survival forged strength, and that strength did not need to shout. The stars reflected off the hull of the battleship, cold and endless. Inside, the crew waited without fear. Outside, the galaxy held its breath, sensing that the age of underestimating humanity had come to a sudden and final end. Inside the Earth battleship, the hum of engines and the pulse of shields created a steady rhythm. Everything was under control, yet tension lingered in the air. Humanity's presence was known across the galaxy now, and each crew member felt the weight of expectation. The vessel was not a show of pride, but a tool of clarity. A reminder that humans had survived against odds no one could easily understand. Park Do-yeon moved carefully through the engine halls, checking systems that few outside Earth could comprehend. The reactor was immense, producing power beyond the combined output of fleets twice its size. He ran simulations, observing how energy could be rerouted instantly to shields, weapons, or propulsion. It was not meant to be flashy. It was meant to last. Engineers from many nations on Earth had worked for decades to design vessels that could endure long campaigns, endure hits, and respond with precision. Do-yeon felt pride in the silence of these machines, the quiet assurance of readiness. On the command deck, Li Hana reviewed sensor data projected across the tactical screens. Alien fleets had rearranged themselves, keeping distance yet maintaining observation. Their movements were cautious, almost fearful. The galaxy's assumption had always been that humans were small, fragmented, and limited. That assumption was collapsing. Haine considered every calculation, every possible response from nearby empires. She knew that the battleship did not need to act aggressively. Its mere presence altered strategies, reshaping thoughts in the minds of commanders who had never imagined such a thing. Kang Jisoo moved among his officers with calm authority. His voice was steady, carrying reassurance without overbearing presence. He did not need to shout. His decisions were deliberate, measured, reflecting centuries of humanity's collective experience in survival and rebuilding. Each movement of the ship was precise. Each report of alien activity was met with analysis and calm judgment. The galaxy could feel power, but it did not yet understand intent. Choi Mera oversaw weapon systems, reviewing the configurations with meticulous care. These systems were built for control, for precision strikes that would disable rather than destroy. She understood that fear could be a tool, but unnecessary destruction would betray humanity's principles. Mira ran diagnostic tests, ensuring that every array functioned perfectly, that targeting protocols could execute without hesitation. She felt the weight of responsibility. Every calculation mattered because the galaxy now watched. Every human action with curiosity and caution. Far beyond the battleship, alien fleets continued cautious observation. Kethun's warships moved in formation, testing ranges without aggression. Ishara noted that the humans did not react to provocations, did not maneuver to intimidate. Vela reported to council chambers that the vessel's posture was consistent with deterrence rather than attack. The aliens began to realize that humans had built strength over centuries, not to conquer, but to survive and protect. Back inside the ship, flashbacks flickered across the minds of the crew. Earth had endured centuries of conflict and catastrophe. Cities had fallen and been rebuilt. Nations had fought each other, yet each disaster had taught lessons in endurance, cooperation, and adaptation. Humanity's technological achievements in space came not from desire for conquest, but from necessity. Kang Jisoo reflected on this history quietly, knowing the galaxy would soon understand that Earth's strength was born of survival, not ambition. Hana calculated potential movements for nearby fleets. Alien ships had weapons more advanced than most human systems, yet they were no match for the battleship's adaptability. Shields could adjust in microseconds. Countermeasures could target entire formations simultaneously. Earth's vessels were designed to win without unnecessary aggression. Hana felt satisfaction in the elegance of this restraint, the quiet display of capability that needed no showmanship. Du Yun reported system stability and potential power reallocation scenarios. The ship could sustain operations for months without resupply, giving humans an unmatched endurance advantage. This endurance was a strategic statement. The galaxy had grown accustomed to swift strikes, sudden wars, and rapid expansion. Humanity had learned patience, building resilience and capability over decades. Dayan's hands moved over controls, ensuring that every system maintained readiness, not for immediate conquest, but for any eventuality that might arise. Communication channels remained open, flooded with requests from alien commanders seeking understanding. Humans had not attacked, had not issued ultimatums. Yet the message was clear. Humanity existed and was prepared to defend itself fully. Kang Jisoo chose words carefully when responding, emphasizing peace, but affirming the capability to act decisively if necessary. The calm clarity unsettled many in the galaxy. It was not threat, but certainty. The kind of certainty only experience and endurance could create. Hana's tactical screens displayed simulations of potential engagement, not to provoke, but to anticipate. Every scenario showed that alien fleets could not simply overpower Earth's technology. They could maneuver, they could test, but the ship's design made it resilient beyond expectation. It became apparent to the crew that the galaxy had underestimated human adaptability and ingenuity. Every calculated move humans had made over centuries contributed to this moment. And every officer aboard understood the gravity of history converging on a single point. The battleship's design reflected simplicity and efficiency. No ornamentation distracted from purpose. Corridors were wide and functional. Crew quarters were comfortable but modest. Systems were redundant, interconnected, and capable of independent operation. The vessel's power was not meant to inspire awe through display, but to communicate readiness and endurance. Kang Jisoo walked past stations quietly, checking in with each officer. There was no panic, only steady discipline. Outside, alien fleets continued cautious observation. Vela reported that Cthulhu's forces hesitated, unsure if the humans would strike or hold. Ishara noted that even their fastest ships could not close distance without potential risk. For the first time, many in the galaxy realized that humans had arrived with capabilities that could not be easily challenged, and with intent that could not be guessed through traditional methods of intimidation. Inside, Choi Myra ran final calibration on weapons, ensuring all systems were synchronized. She felt a mixture of pride and responsibility. Every human on board understood the principle that guided their presence. Strength exists to defend and prevent destruction, not to enforce dominance. This principle had been forged through centuries of learning from failure, surviving against odds, and rebuilding stronger each time. Kang Jisoo observed the alien fleets and the stars beyond, knowing that this demonstration of resolve was necessary. The galaxy had to learn respect not through conquest, but through understanding the cost of underestimation. Lee Hana's calculations confirmed that no fleet within observed range could risk misjudgment without potential loss of significant assets. Humanity's presence alone reshaped the strategic landscape. Park Do-yeon returned to the main engineering console, watching the hum of systems that could endure months of continuous operation. The quiet efficiency was a statement of human resolve. Each component, each calculation, each measure of redundancy reflected generations of experience. This was not arrogance. This was survival, communicated in the language of engineering, discipline, and readiness. In the council chambers of the galaxy, discussion turned from dismissal to uncertainty. Analysts and commanders began re-evaluating assumptions about humanity. This was no longer a minor species to be overlooked. Earth had arrived not to demand allegiance, but to remind others that resilience, preparation, and unity could command respect where firepower alone could not. The battleship remained steady, silent in motion, a presence that spoke louder than words. Kang Jisoo and his officers continued their careful monitoring, maintaining calm authority. Humanity had not yet acted aggressively, but the galaxy could feel the weight of potential consequences. It was a new lesson. The galaxy could no longer underestimate human resolve. The galaxy had begun to tremble in subtle ways, the tension spreading through fleets and councils alike. Alien commanders were careful but curious. Cthulhu, the warlord, decided that action was necessary. A controlled display of power would test the human vessel's response, measure its strength, and perhaps expose its weaknesses. His fleet moved cautiously, the formation precise, with every ship ready to react to signals. Inside the battleship, the crew maintained calm vigilance. Kang Jisoo observed the approaching fleet, noting the disciplined movements and coordinated channels of communication. His voice, calm and deliberate, relayed observations to his officers. Lee Hana ran tactical simulations, calculating potential outcomes for every possible action from the alien fleet. They had to prepare without provoking unnecessary hostility. Choi Myra ensured weapon systems were aligned but inactive. Precision was their principle. Restraint was their policy. Park Do-yeon monitored engineering, confirming that all power channels were prepared for rapid response. The ship was a fortress of readiness, but no one sought unnecessary confrontation. This balance between strength and restraint had defined humanity's rise and its reputation for survival. The alien fleet closed, sending a volley of energy pulses toward the battleship. The humans did not fire preemptively. They held position, allowing the initial attack to strike. Energy shields absorbed the impact, the force distributed and dissipated without compromising core systems. The display of resilience shocked alien observers. They expected damage, disruption, maybe panic. Instead, there was calm control. The first countermeasure was precise and deliberate. Choi Myra initiated the sequence. A single, calculated strike disabled several key enemy ships without causing mass destruction. The move communicated power, but not cruelty. The alien commanders were stunned. Their advanced weapons, carefully designed over centuries, were unable to harm the battleship effectively. Panic began to ripple through their formations as they realized their advantage had been neutralized. Kang Jisu remained calm, issuing orders in measured tones. Lee Hana adjusted tactical projections, observing the ripple effect of the countermeasure on enemy formations. Alien ships shifted, some retreating, some pausing, unsure of the next human move. Each decision from the human crew was deliberate, aimed at ending the engagement efficiently without escalating destruction. The restraint itself was a message. Kethun grew uneasy. His own calculations had assumed that the humans were inexperienced in large-scale fleet combat. Now he realized the error. Every maneuver, every system response, every countermeasure demonstrated discipline and understanding far beyond what his analysts had predicted. The humans did not act out of aggression, but out of preparedness and calculated restraint. For the first time, Kethun wondered if he had underestimated them gravely. Vaylor and Ishara, observing from the council, reported the sequence with concern. The display was more than tactical. It was strategic. Humans had demonstrated the ability to respond to attack with precision, to impose consequences without causing unnecessary harm. This restraint, paired with overwhelming capability, created a psychological shock across fleets. The message was clear. Humanity would defend itself decisively if provoked, but it did not seek unnecessary war. Inside the battleship, the crew continued monitoring. Choi Meira's fingers moved over controls with quiet confidence. The weapons were ready for any escalation, but she hoped none would come. Lee Hana observed enemy reactions, noting hesitation, confusion, and the rapid recalculation of strategies. Each pause in movement was a testament to the human vessel's overwhelming presence, a presence that the aliens had no simple answer to. Kang Jisu called for a calm assessment. Reports confirmed no systems were damaged. All countermeasures functioned as designed, and the alien fleet had begun an uncoordinated retreat. Humanity's strength had been proven, and the display of controlled response left the alien commanders unsure how to proceed. Aggression was no longer a simple choice. The risks had shifted dramatically. Dayan confirmed that energy reserves were stable, shields were intact, and the weapon systems remained fully operational. The ship could continue for months if necessary, each system redundant and prepared. The calm confidence aboard the battleship contrasted with the tense uncertainty outside. The humans had changed the rules simply by existing and responding with precision. The alien fleets began to communicate with hesitation, requesting temporary ceasefires and clarification of intent. Kang Jisu authorized direct communication, responding with measured language that conveyed readiness, but also emphasized peaceful purpose. Vaylor and Ishara observed as humans articulated principles of survival, deterrence, and caution. They explained that Earth had endured for centuries, learning to act decisively only when necessary, and that humanity valued restraint, backed by overwhelming capability. Kethun attempted a few final maneuvers to test weaknesses, but every action met predictable countermeasures. The humans did not escalate unnecessarily. Each calculated defense and response communicated a single idea. Underestimation would carry consequences. The psychological effect on alien fleets was profound. Ships withdrew in an orderly manner, but the hesitation and fear remained. For decades, no human had interacted directly with these forces, yet the memory of one engagement would last out inside the battleship. Kang Jisu reviewed every action. He did not celebrate victory, for there had been no war, only a demonstration of readiness. He understood that the galaxy would now perceive humanity differently. Lee Hanna analyzed the data, confirming the minimal but precise effectiveness of their countermeasures. Choi Myra monitored weapons still, ensuring they remained prepared for any contingency. Park Do-yeon adjusted system balance, maintaining optimal energy reserves for future actions. The alien council chambers were in turmoil. Delegates debated the implications of the encounter. Analysts argued over human potential, reviewing centuries of history and technology. The consensus shifted. Humans were no longer a minor power to be dismissed. Their capability to endure, survive, and respond with precision was far greater than anyone had assumed. The idea that humans were vulnerable or fragmented was entirely false. Outside the battleship, fleets continued to observe, cautious and uncertain. Humanity's first defensive action had reshaped strategies and altered the psychological landscape. Fear mingled with respect, creating a new understanding. The humans were prepared, disciplined, and unyielding. The battleship itself was not a weapon of terror, but a statement of purpose and resilience. Inside, the crew remained focused. No celebration, no boastful pride, only calm analysis and preparation for what might come. Kang Jisoo walked among his officers, observing their diligence. He understood that the galaxy had seen their strength, but he also knew that restraint was as important as power. Humanity's reputation now rested not on aggression, but on the clarity and resolve demonstrated in this encounter. Hanna continued recalculating potential movements and strategies, ensuring readiness for any future confrontation. Mira maintained precise control over weapons, ready to respond with the same measured effectiveness if needed. Do-yeon monitored the engines, confirming that the ship's endurance and adaptability would not be challenged. Together, they maintained a steady rhythm of calm readiness, a quiet confidence that spoke louder than any threat. The first contact under fire had concluded. Alien fleets withdrew, minds reconsidering past assumptions. The humans had neither sought war nor provoked total destruction. They had demonstrated capability, restraint, and unyielding resolve. For the first time, many species in the galaxy understood that Earth was not a minor world. It was a force built over centuries of survival, and it could not be ignored or underestimated. Kang Jisoo looked out at the stars, reflecting on the encounter. Humanity had not acted out of pride or aggression. The galaxy had learned a vital lesson. Human resolve, discipline, and endurance were unmatched. The battleship remained ready, silent, and controlled, a beacon of capability that altered the perception of all who observed it. The first contact under fire had ended, but the galaxy's understanding of humans had only begun. The alien fleets pulled back slightly, uncertainty now firmly in their minds. Vaylor and Ishara requested an immediate communication channel to the human vessel, hoping to understand the intentions of the newcomers. The galaxy had watched in tension as the first contact under fire had concluded. Fear and respect mixed among alien commanders, creating a fragile desire for clarity. Kang Jisoo received the request with calm authority, initiating a secure channel that connected the council representatives to the human command deck. The screen activated with the simple yet imposing outline of Kang Jisoo standing among his officers. His calm demeanor spoke of experience and measured judgment. Vaylor spoke first, his voice tight with restraint, asking why Earth had sent such a vessel into disputed space. Ishara's tone was sharper, reflecting centuries of strategy and expectation. Both sought reassurance, but also sought understanding of the human's intentions and capabilities. Kang Jisoo spoke carefully, his words measured and deliberate. He explained that Earth had endured centuries of conflict, from internal wars to external threats, learning that survival depended on readiness, unity, and disciplined response. The battleship was a symbol of that experience, a manifestation of the lessons learned by countless generations. Humanity had no desire to conquer the galaxy, but would defend itself fully if provoked or threatened. His tone was steady, conveying confidence without arrogance. The alien representatives listened closely. Every gesture, every measured word communicated clarity. Vaylor noted the precision of speech and the calm authority in Kang Jisu's posture. Ishara studied the tactical displays on the human ship, recognizing that every system was built not for show, but for endurance, adaptability, and efficiency. Humanity's message was simple: do not mistake restraint for weakness. Li Hana joined Kang Jisu in the discussion, detailing the strategic principles guiding human response. She emphasized that Earth had unified after long periods of internal struggle, learning to value peace and cooperation while remaining ready for inevitable threats. The battleship's appearance was meant to clarify boundaries, not to provoke aggression. Alien analysts began to see the logic behind every maneuver, the careful balance between readiness and restraint. Capability and principle. Choi Mira demonstrated how weapon systems were calibrated for precision and control. The countermeasure used in the earlier encounter had not been intended to destroy, but to disable strategically. Humanity's doctrine prioritized defense and deterrence over conquest. Alien commanders noted the restraint and professionalism, a stark contrast to the aggressive postures common in interstellar warfare. Fear began to shift into cautious respect as understanding deepened. Vaylor spoke with hesitation, acknowledging that many species had underestimated humanity. The calculated display of power, paired with measured communication, challenged centuries of assumptions. Ishara agreed, noting that human endurance, discipline, and technological integration made their fleets unpredictable. Humanity's capability was now not only known, but appreciated for its precision and purpose. The Council began to see that these humans were not merely survivors, but thinkers, strategists, and guardians of their own space. Kang Jisu continued to explain that Earth had always been cautious in its expansion, investing in understanding and preparation before any engagement. Humans learned to anticipate threats, adapt quickly, and act decisively. Every battle, every technological development, every strategic choice had been refined over centuries. This approach explained the appearance of the battleship and the restraint observed during the first encounter under fire. The galaxy began to understand that humanity's power was forged from necessity, endurance, and careful calculation rather than conquest. Li Hana added details about the ship's systems, explaining that every capability was designed to sustain long engagements, protect the crew, and enforce boundaries without causing unnecessary destruction. Alien commanders marveled at the integration of technology and doctrine, realizing that humans had learned to apply their strength in ways the galaxy had rarely witnessed. The battleship itself became a symbol of principles and readiness, a message that transcended physical presence. Choi Mira illustrated specific examples of how countermeasures had been used to disable enemy ships without total destruction. The approach demonstrated strategic thinking, combining restraint with efficiency. Alien observers realized that human warfare was not a chaotic pursuit of destruction, but a careful orchestration of survival and defense. This revelation reshaped their understanding of human capability and philosophy. The galaxy had misjudged humans for centuries. Kethun, observing remotely, felt unease as the humans continued to explain doctrine and principles. His assumptions about human weakness crumbled under the clarity of their explanations. Humans were neither reckless nor aggressive for the sake of dominance. They were deliberate, precise, and ready. Kethun reconsidered any notion of engaging them further without extreme caution. The warlord's fleet remained alert but hesitant, a reflection of the broader reassessment among alien forces. The Council began to recognize a new truth. Earth's strength was not a product of conquest, but of endurance, learning, and disciplined unity. Humanity had grown resilient through centuries of challenge, turning survival into an art. The battleship, its crew, and their measured response communicated a philosophy that many in the galaxy had never experienced: strength combined with principle, power exercised responsibly, readiness without aggression. Kang Jisu's calm and deliberate answers created an atmosphere of understanding. Alien representatives asked questions, seeking clarity on potential conflicts and intentions. Each answer reaffirmed humanity's principles. The humans were ready to act if necessary, but they did not seek unnecessary warfare. The Council began to understand that respect, not fear, would guide interactions with this species in the future. Lee Hanna provided simulations showing that humans could protect their space without escalation. Every projection emphasized restraint, coordination, and endurance. Alien analysts began to grasp the subtlety of human doctrine. They noted that the battleship's technology, crew, and strategic decisions created a combination that was difficult to challenge directly. Humanity's approach to conflict was as much psychological and philosophical as it was technological. Choi Mira shared examples of strategic restraint used in previous engagements, showing that disabling and deterring enemies could be more effective than full destruction. The alien observers began to appreciate the depth of human strategy. Humanity's philosophy of survival and measured response provided a lesson that reshaped perceptions across species. For the first time, the Council collectively understood that human presence could not be underestimated. Valor and failure, Ishara exchanged thoughts with careful consideration. They realized that Earth had arrived in the galaxy with clarity, not chaos, and that the humans' actions were based on centuries of experience and careful study. Humanity's doctrine combined deterrence, endurance, and strategic intelligence. The battleship's display had taught a lesson beyond physical combat. Restraint combined with preparedness could command as much respect as overwhelming aggression. Kang Jisu concluded the communication with a reminder: humans did not seek conquest or domination. They sought security, stability, and respect for their space. The battleship had demonstrated readiness, but also restraint. Alien representatives slowly nodded, absorbing the lesson. The galaxy began to recognize that humanity's path was one of resilience, understanding, and decisive principle. The communication ended, leaving silence in the council chambers. Alien fleets remained cautious, reassessing strategies and assumptions. Humanity's philosophy and capabilities had been revealed to the stars, not through war, but through measured demonstration and deliberate explanation. The galaxy had seen the truth. Humans were not a minor species to be dismissed. They were survivors, strategists, and guardians of their own space, ready to enforce boundaries while valuing principle and restraint. Kang Jisoo and his officers watched as alien fleets continued to observe, now with cautious respect rather than fear alone. Lee Hanna reflected on the subtle but powerful impact of their explanations. Choi Myra maintained precise weapons readiness, a reminder that restraint did not mean unpreparedness. Park Doyon monitored systems, confirming that all remained optimal, ready to respond if needed. Humanity had revealed its truth to the galaxy. Strength with principle could change minds and reshape understanding without firing a single destructive shot. The alien fleets began to retreat slowly, their formations cautious and deliberate. The lesson humanity had delivered through restraint and precision had taken hold. Alien commanders were reassessing their assumptions, understanding that direct conflict with Earth would lead to catastrophic results. The galaxy had learned, through observation and measured response, that humans were not to be underestimated. Kang Jisoo observed the movement from the command deck, his expression calm and steady. Lee Hanna monitored sensor readings, confirming that the fleets maintained distance and showed no intent to provoke. Choi Myra kept weapons systems ready but inactive, knowing that vigilance remained important. Park Do-yeon continued to ensure engineering systems remained optimal. The crew understood that the battle was not over, not in the sense of engagement, but in shaping understanding and respect across the stars. Communication channels began to open as alien representatives sought dialogue. Valor and Ishara initiated discussions about treaties, boundaries, and coordination of space activities. The humans responded with measured clarity, emphasizing peaceful intentions, while asserting the principle that Earth would defend its space and sovereignty. The galaxy had entered a new era of diplomacy, shaped not by aggression, but by the demonstration of preparedness and disciplined resolve. Cthulhu observed with unease, acknowledging the lesson humanity had imposed. His warships maintained distance, cautious in approach, aware that the humans' capabilities and doctrines were unlike anything he had encountered. The warlord reconsidered potential strategies, recognizing that Earth's strength was built from centuries of endurance and careful planning, not reckless ambition. On the battleship, Kang Jisoo reviewed maps of surrounding systems. He noted the withdrawal of fleets and the slow restoration of balance. Lee Hana calculated optimal routes for return to Earth space, considering potential diplomatic and strategic requirements. Choi Myra checked weapon calibration one last time, a reminder that readiness and restraint could coexist. Park Do-yeon monitored energy flows, confirming that the ship's systems could continue at full capacity for months without resupply. The Alien Council convened to assess the encounter and its consequences. Analysts and strategists across multiple species debated the implications of humanity's demonstration. The consensus was clear. Earth was no longer a minor or insignificant presence. Humans were to be respected as capable, disciplined, and strategic. Treaties were drafted, ensuring recognition of human boundaries and establishing protocols for engagement and communication. Humanity had become a stabilizing force rather than a distant curiosity. The battleship began its journey home, moving with calm authority through the void of space. Inside, the crew reflected on the events, understanding the profound impact of their actions. Kang Jisoo walked among his officers, acknowledging their disciplined service. Lee Hana reviewed the simulations and calculations, satisfied that the galaxy now understood human intent and principle. Choi Myra maintained her precise control, symbolizing the quiet power of restraint. Park Do-yeon assured that the systems remained stable, a silent testament to human endurance and ingenuity. Humanity's presence had shifted the political and strategic landscape. Alien species began to treat Earth with a combination of caution and respect. The balance of power had adjusted without the need for further conflict. Commanders realized that the humans' greatest weapon was not the battleship itself, but the resolve and discipline behind it. This lesson would influence galactic decisions for generations to come. Kang Jisoo reflected on the philosophy that had guided them through the encounter. Humans had endured countless trials on Earth, learning to value unity, patience, and precise action. The battleship's appearance and measured response had conveyed this history, showing that humans acted not from arrogance, but from experience and understanding. This combination of capability and principle had transformed fear into respect. The galaxy's perception of humanity had fundamentally changed. Species that once disregarded Earth now considered humans in strategic calculations. Treaties and agreements were approached with caution and acknowledgement of human capabilities. Alien fleets moved with awareness of potential consequences, and councils deliberated with consideration of the human approach to conflict. The presence of a single battleship, coupled with disciplined doctrine, had reshaped galactic expectations. Back aboard the ship, Lee Hana looked out into the stars, reflecting on the transformation. The galaxy had witnessed a demonstration of human strength, endurance, and calculated restraint. The lessons learned would endure far beyond the immediate encounter. Choi Myra maintained her stations, the quiet hum of systems a reminder of readiness. Park Do-yeon ensured the ship's engines and reactors ran smoothly, the silent heartbeat of capability and endurance. Kang Jisoo considered the broader implications. Humanity had not sought to dominate, only to clarify its presence and capabilities. The galaxy had learned respect, not through destruction or intimidation, but through disciplined action and restraint. The battleship had returned the galaxy to a new understanding. Humans were resilient, capable, and principled. Their strength came from endurance, strategy, and experience, not from aggression alone. As the ship moved through space, the stars reflected off its hull, a silent testimony to humanity's enduring presence. Alien fleets observed from a distance, cautious and respectful, understanding that the humans' influence had reshaped galactic perception. Diplomacy, treaties, and communication were now conducted with awareness of human capability and principle. The battleship approached Earth's space, its mission complete. Inside, the crew reflected on their journey, recognizing the subtle but powerful impact they had made. Kang Jisoo, Lee Hana, Choi Myra, and Park Do-yeon understood that the galaxy had learned a vital lesson. Human resilience, discipline, and readiness were unmatched. The presence of humanity was now a stabilizing force, ensuring that the galaxy would approach interactions with respect and careful consideration. The era had changed. The galaxy would no longer underestimate humanity. Fear had transformed into respect, and understanding had replaced doubt. Earth's battleship returned home, leaving behind a legacy of clarity and principle. The galaxy had learned that humans acted with purpose, resilience, and restraint, and that the consequences of underestimating them could be severe. Humanity had shown that its greatest strength lay not only in technology and firepower, but in the disciplined and enduring will behind it.